2020, it's 9 a.m. and the Kerr County Commissioners Court is now in session. I want to remind anyone who would like to offer any public input, you can do that by calling this phone, which is number 830-377, 830-792-6161, 792-6161. Okay, with that, this is the opportunity for anyone who wants to, from the public that wants to address the court, to have the opportunity to offer some input. Is there anyone who would like to address the court on a matter that is not on the agenda? Okay, then we'll proceed to Commissioners' comments. Let's go in reverse order. Precinct 4.
It's hot and dry, awfully hot and dry. We need rain bad, need rain dancers, whatever we can get. That's about all I got for right now.
Okay. Shree?
Hot and dry.
I think this is a broken record, too.
Yeah. Hot and dry, but good news for Precinct 2 and all of Kerr County. Killdeer Mountain Manufacturing, I'm sure everybody heard about that, is coming to Kerrville, and that's a big deal. So, schedule's not known exactly yet, but it'll probably be released here in the next month or so, what their schedule is. So, that's good news. That's it.
Precinct 1.
We had a fire off out by Treasure Hills over the weekend. So fortunately it didn't jump the creek and cause more problems than it did, but I want to remind everybody to please burn carefully. And if you can do it in small, don't let it stack up too long. Burn it in a small thing in a barrel if you can. There's no burn ban for Precinct 1.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Don and I got it.
Okay, with that, let's go ahead and begin our consideration agenda. We're going to hear from our Capital Improvement Planning Committee first, and then we'll go on to election matters as the morning progresses. So I think we've got most of the members of the Capital Improvement Planning Committee in the room. So I'm going to call item 1.1, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action on recommendations from the Capital Improvement Planning Committee. Bobby.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Templeton.
I have not a professional presentation for you, but what I have for you is basically our notes.
Yeah.
This is a new one.
New and improved.
It's got some pictures in it and that kind of thing.
Yeah,
so
thank you.
Yes, sir.
So even I can read it.
So you can follow along. Yes, sir.
All right.
Absolutely. And my name is Bobby Templeton. I'm one member of the committee. And our committee consists of Pete Calderon, Chris Hughes, no relation Brenda Hughes, Fred Henneke, and myself. We are a very diverse committee. We represent all of Kerr County, every portion of it. And my job today is to provide a little bit of context to what they are going to talk about. So as you know, this committee was convened last year to study facilities and how they're impacted by the programs that this county has, or the departments, I should say. So through our committee meetings, we have met, I don't know how many times, numerous times. We put in collectively hundreds of hours, not only studying our facilities and programs, but trying to find ways where we can help you be as efficient as possible to serve the citizens of Kerr County. We toured extensively every department. I think we probably know as much about our county services as most citizens do, certainly not as much as you do. But we were unbelievably impressed with the people that work here. We were not as fully impressed with the facilities, and that brings us to where we are today. To provide a little bit more context, the last major capital improvement for Kerr County was the jail in 2017. There was renovation of the courthouse in 2000, but before that, this building was built in 1926 when there was just about 10,000 residents. Essentially the same structure, same Kerr County, everything, but today we're 50,000 strong. And one of the things that this committee, our committee, discovered was that our facilities, in our opinion, are certainly not up to the task of serving our citizens. There's not one specific facility that we can point to that would be precipitous of anything horribly bad. They all very much dovetail together. They very much dovetail together, and it's such a way for this building, for example, if you are to change one thing, it dominoes into many, many other things. There's property needs, there's facility needs, and our goal is to make Kerr County better, much better for our kids and our grandkids for the next 20 or 30 years. And we've worked diligently, and we think we have the beginnings of a plan that we're going to present to you today, at least partial plan. And over time, we feel like we will have a deeper and better plan and better recommendations to bring to you. And if those are brought to fruition, we feel like Kerr County will be infinitely better for the next 30 years. And with that, I'm going to kick it over to one of my committee members, and that would be Fred, who is going to come up and wow you with all kinds of great information.
Doc, let me comment on one thing you said that I
Yes,
think
sir.
was key. You looked at it from a perspective of 20 to 30 years.
Yes,
And
sir.
I think that's really, really important because we just finished the construction on the jail looking 20 years out. We did that 20 years ago. So I think to put it in that perspective is really good.
Yes, sir. That's kind of been one of the key tenets of what we talked about in our
Okay.
discussions. Not only if we were to fix facility X, Y, or Z, would it look good now? Yes,
Right.
but how would it be when we are all gone from our positions?
Good.
How would it be for our kids? And we think that's probably much more important than what we have today.
Okay, good point.
Yes, sir.
Well, good morning. Fred Henneke, 2595 Bandera Highway in Kerrville, just past the old state park on the beautiful banks of the Guadalupe River. I want to draw your attention to the map, the drawing that you've been provided. It says 660 Earl Garrett. This one. If you look at the schematic drawing at the bottom of that display, you might say to yourself, that looks like the tax office. That's because
600.
it will be the tax office in our proposal. Historically, misdemeanor criminal trials have required a 6-person jury. Historically and constitutionally in Texas. That has changed. Misdemeanor criminal trials are now entitled to a 12-person jury. There actually is a law in the book that says that we are supposed to start that by September 1st. What you might call an unfunded mandate with that new requirement is that we have to have a jury room for 12 jurors and 2 alternates. Misdemeanors are handled by the Kerr County Count of Law. We do not have a 14-person jury room for the Kerr County Count of Law. That facility was just recently remodeled, but unfortunately it is no longer sufficient to meet the constitutional and legal requirements for misdemeanor trials. The only way that we can provide a 14-person jury room, approximately 26 feet by 14 feet, is to expand into what is now the tax office, which necessitates relocation of the tax office. Unless we're going to totally disrupt the whole courthouse. What we're proposing is that we expand the Kerr County Court of Law jury room and other facilities into the tax office and relocate the tax office to the old sanctuary building in 600 Earl Garrett Street. And again, if you look at the drawing that I've called your attention to, it looks like we have just picked up the tax office and relocated it. It's basically the same configuration with a few improvements provided by Mr. Lewis. Another benefit of relocating the tax office is that we have an opportunity to reduce the traffic in the courthouse, which is a major component of courthouse security. For one thing, the proposal we have has a payment kiosk, a drive-by payment kiosk, which would significantly reduce the number of people who have to come into the tax office. But by moving the tax office to the old sanctuary, we take away the office that generates the largest number of traffic in the courthouse. This gives us a better opportunity to manage the flow of people in the courthouse. It also provides us with space for any other needs we have. And one prime need that we have is the IT department, which, as you know, is currently shoehorned into basically a closet. By relocating the tax office, we have the opportunity to create for the IT department, which is a critical department for any government entity these days, into a facility that not only will serve the employees and the citizens of Kerr County better now, but for 10 to 20 years, as we talked about. It also theoretically will give us the opportunity to relocate an office or into the vacated space by the tax office if you also choose to do. So, the recommendation today from the committee is that we purchase the old sanctuary building at 600 Earl Garrett. It also comes with a vacant lot that can be turned into parking, which will serve the tax office, people visiting the tax office, and any overflow for the other offices that are going to be in what we're calling the county campus. So we ask the court to approve the purchase of the sanctuary building at 600 Earl Garrett, including the vacant lot. I don't know if there are any questions now, if you want to entertain questions now or later. It's at the pleasure of the court.
Why don't we just take them up at the end?
Yes, sir.
Everybody's here, so everybody's available.
All right, good morning. I'm Chris Hughes, 550 Indian Creek Road, Ingram, Texas. I'm going to talk to you about another little piece of this campus puzzle that we have. Two issues that I'm going to talk about today. One's immediate, one's long-term. For the benefit of the public that may not be aware, Kerr County, along with Medina, Bandera, Gillespie, and Kendall counties, submitted a grant to the state for a regional public defender's office. And I don't believe that the status of that grant has been revealed yet.
They meet next week.
So by next week, we're going to know the status of that grant. However, I think all signs point to it going in our favor.
I got word we're the only applicant right now.
Yes, we're the only applicants. So it's pretty good odds. So it's expected to be awarded to Kerr County. And with that, Kerr County is going to be the administrative home for this 5-county public defender's office. What that is going to do is going to be nice growth. In addition to the Killdeer project, it's going to bring a total of 21 employees here to Kerr County. There's going to be 16 attorneys plus 5 staff. And there's going to be an additional 10 lawyers or 10 employees that are going to be based out of Hondo. But it is Kerr County's responsibility to provide office space for these 21 employees here at Kerr County. Currently, we do not have that office space available for the public defender's office. Providing this office space is not optional. That, as a part of this grant, that is what we are going to have to do. And as a county, we're going to have a solution to that very soon, within the next fiscal year. So this is not a 10 to 20 year issue. This is a 1-year issue that needs to be addressed. Along with that, as part of our studies going through each of the departments, we found out pretty quickly that this courthouse seems to be bursting at the seams. We have fully utilized this courthouse and then some. Brenda Hughes, and I think in a prior presentation, identified or demonstrated some of the storage issues and functional issues. And kudos to county staff for making it happen, but they're definitely having to work to make it happen. So we have some space issues that need to be addressed in this courthouse. Another issue is that a significant amount of the traffic that comes into this courthouse is not court related. A lot of it's administrative business, that doesn't necessarily need to be housed specifically in the Kerr County Courthouse. So, to improve the security, storage, and public access of our citizens, our committee is going to be recommending that some of the county offices actually be located or relocated outside of the courthouse over the next 1 to 2 years. Not an immediate issue, but kind of a gradual transition. And with that, we would like to make a recommendation to the court that they consider the purchase of 550 Earl Garrett. This is adjacent to 600 Earl Garrett that Fred Henneke just spoke about. What this is a 2-story, 10,000 square foot office building with about 6,000 square feet of usable office space. It's located within walking distance of the courthouse, one block away, so it's very convenient in terms of traffic flow back and forth. The entire second floor of this building can be used by the PDO, the Public Defender's Office. It fits their needs very, very well. One benefit of that is that, or a thing to note, is that Kerr County is going to be receiving rent payments from the other 4 counties for housing and using that office building. So that's something to consider in your discussions, is that the rent payment that comes in may help offset some of the purchase cost of this building. The first floor is what we are proposing could be used to house county offices as we do the relocations. Currently, some of the office buildings are being leased. I think the last lease ends in July of this coming year. So there's actually a little bit of income coming in already. But as those tenants move out, those buildings and those offices can be easily reconfigured to suit county needs for whatever office buildings we decide, or you decide you need to move over to that annex. So, in our opinion, the acquisition of 550 Earl Garrett is a pretty key piece to solving these 2 imminent issues that we're facing as a county. So moving on from there, a second piece of this puzzle.
Chris, let me interrupt.
Yep.
Is the second floor adequate for the public defender's office and complex?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Good.
And I think we haven't finalized all of the plans, but Peter obviously has some layouts of different office configurations
Okay.
that could work. But
Conceptually,
looking at their needs, conceptually upstairs and downstairs, it's a very good fit for what we need as a county.
Okay, thank you.
What isn't a fit for the county is parking. 550 currently has 45 parking spaces available to it, which sounds like a lot, but when you consider that the Public Defender's Office is going to have 21 spaces for their employees, there's probably 5 to 10 spaces for their business and their visitors, 31 of those 45 spaces are now gone. And that leaves 14 spaces for county use. And while we've got some ideas, but we have not made any specific recommendations as to which departments might be relocated, I think it's safe to say that 14 spaces is not going to work for whatever county office staff and public visitors are going to be utilizing that building. Directly across North Street from the building, 550 Earl Garrett, is 424 Earl Garrett, and that is a vacant lot that can be striped and used as a parking lot that can provide an additional 30 to 50 parking spaces for use at 550 Earl Garrett. It provides sufficient overflow for that office building, for county use, PDO use, and even the tax office, 600 Earl Garrett, if need be. It provides the courthouse with overflow parking for any kind of major events that may be occurring down here. Hopefully we can gather in large numbers, or we might actually get to all park together and stand together at some point in the future. So that would be there. Another consideration, one of the offices that we are considering is environmental services, relocating them outside of the courthouse. This would provide some parking spaces for trailers. They come in here to courthouse parking and take up a lot of courthouse parking space. So just some of the considerations there on that parking lot. So it is the Capital Improvement Committee's recommendation that the court consider purchasing 550 Earl Garrett and the lot 424 Earl Garrett, trying to create a county campus 1 block from the existing courthouse.
I have a question about the meat market there.
Yes, sir.
That parking lot. Is that part of that property or is it the next property?
The meat market is a separate lot just south of there.
And they've always used that parking, so is that another problem with that?
I don't know if it's a problem, is more of a discussion.
Problem for them.
Well, because you have something that would need an easement or something, I guess.
There's an easement there. It's a 12-foot easement, and that's the only access that the taxidermy shop and the meat market have.
Okay.
And on the edge of that easement, they'd probably be roped off to maintain the parking lot for the county. Cable law.
I don't think it impacts our use.
If I owned the meat market, I wouldn't be happy about it.
Well, then they need to buy the lot.
They haven't purchased it yet?
Yeah.
All right.
Actually, there's not anything in there now, is there?
No.
It recently closed in.
Yeah.
I'm going to turn it over to Pete Calderon for our next one.
Good morning, gentlemen. My name is Pete Calderon. I represent Precinct 3. As it was previously said, Brenda and Chris did some presentations earlier in the year for road and bridge issues that they were having. We also recognize that not only was this going to be maybe a 20 or 30 year outlook, but it was also current issues now and things that we need at the present time to be more efficient, and it just kind of worked out that it would help 20, 30 years down the road also to keep us comfortable. We currently were looking at 199 Spur 100, the McCarty property. It's about 16 acres behind Road and Bridge. This property has been on the market for 9 years. These 9 years, it has run into some development issues, but we as the committee recognized that this McCarty property was uniquely suited for the county needs. It is 16 acres right behind Road and Bridge. We recognize that acquiring this property will give Road and Bridge the necessary expansion space that it needs. There are some safety issues every morning with that we currently notice now, as far as personnel, equipment, county vehicles, all in that small space in the morning, everybody being there. They're kind of shoved into a small area. It would resolve some issues as far as equipment storage, material storage. In addition, this property could accommodate a couple of other departments, such as the maintenance department or even animal control, which also has issues as we speak now and issues that they're dealing with. They've outgrown a very aged and small facility that animal control has. It would allow them to have a bigger track. If we put them there on this McCarty property, the maintenance department, they could be able to house in one area their equipment and their staff. We also considered that possibly acquiring this property with the future sales or possible future sales of the McFarland property, or even where animal control is now, that one or both of those sales of the property would offset the cost of this McCarty property. So that's really good to know. We also want to note that there is, from what I understand, interest. There's some interest in the current buyer for the McFarland property. So that is good to know. And we also want to note that if we understand, we've looked into this, and it would be nice for animal control to be moved along with road and bridge and possibly maintenance, and it would all work out great, and there would be enough space for everyone. We also understand that this negotiating or acquiring this property may not be possible. And so we're ready for that. We understand that the animal control does have plans that they've had in the past were to rebuild and their area where they are now. And if this does not work out, we're ready to look at other properties, and we have other options to look at. But we as the committee feel that this McCarty property is important, and it would work out a great deal considering the location and considering the needs of the county. This property works out great for that, but we do understand that it may not work out. So we would like the court to look into this and to hopefully do the best we can to negotiate and make this happen in the best interest of Kerr County and its citizens.
Big question, did you guys look at floodplain on that property? The existing floodplain?
We did, and that was some of the issues that it had in the past, but for what our needs and what we're gonna use it for, it wasn't gonna be a problem.
Okay.
Is the direct access?
So that
to-
assumes that no construction of a building or anything in the floodplain itself.
That wouldn't be a problem.
Okay.
You store material,
Yeah,
but there wouldn't be any buildings in the flood.
yeah. We can talk separately about the new FEMA map that's not a floodplain official. Okay, but you answered my question. Thanks, Pete.
So this access is through Spur 100?
Yes.
Is it, how much road frontage is it? Or is there?
What was there, 20?
Quite a bit. It goes from Road and Bridge to the VA cemetery.
So plenty of room for equipment here.
Oh, yeah.
Without any kind of easing issue.
Right.
Sure.
Well, I didn't think there was a problem, but looking at this.
It looks like it says about 361.24 feet.
Yeah,
Ah,
yeah. What's that old civil engineering stuff?
plenty of room there.
You see where it says State Highway Spur 100? Look
Yeah.
right above the high part of it, and you'll see the small print there has the distance across the frontage of that.
And I do want to note that this property is marketed at $455,000, and we had it appraised at $350 by the market company.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Pete. Don't leave.
Something here or don't?
No,
leave?
no.
Oh.
The shoes.
Good morning. My name is Brenda Hughes, and I reside at 709 Galbraith Avenue here in Kerrville. And one of the many directives of the Capital Improvement Planning Committee was to identify critical needs within the Precinct 4 county offices. We looked at the JP office, the tax office, and the Ingram PD Sheriff Substation. Ooh, that's a mouthful. The consensus by the committee was that these facilities do not meet or support a 10 to 20 year growth, projected growth estimate. In your packet that Bobby gave you, we've included some of the problems identified with these specific facilities and have incorporated some visuals. And of the 400 pictures that I took, I've only included about 12 pictures. So I wanted to be considerate with the court and just kind of highlight a few of the major concerns that we had relating to the evidence room at the substation and inadequate office space for the 8 officers that are out there. The fact that their phone system is located in their bathroom, and other issues like that. That's at the substation, and then at the Precinct 4 location, there's been inefficient repairs to that building. The office areas inadequate. There's some security issues. There's an outdated courtroom, and lots of things going on with that office. And it's rented, okay? We rent that office there in Ingram. And the rent increases every year.
Lease period.
I'm sorry,
Every lease period.
every lease period, yes. And so we don't gain an asset there. And the building is deteriorating rapidly. So, with the goal of providing quality service to the citizens of Kerr County, the CIP committee recommends identifying a suitable property to purchase in Ingram in lieu of renovating the current Precinct 4 location. Renovation often includes rebuild, and we do not see the current location for these offices meeting the needs of future growth. We recommend a new annex that replaces a totally inadequate facility for an immensely successful office in West Kerr County. The property should be suitable for the addition of the sheriff's office and the constable's office, which adds safety and security to the employees and departments within the annex. It will also reduce the Precinct 4 storage space requirement at other locations. And I've included, again, a spreadsheet of the storage needs both on and off-site for the entire county. And the areas that are highlighted in yellow are areas that could be freed up for additional storage use by other departments if we could get this annex built in West Kerr County. In summary, for Harley's benefit, I included the who, what, when, where, and why.
Thank you.
And with that, I will turn it back over to my colleague.
Our committee has been very diligent in keeping with the tenet of being conservative. We understand that there is not tons and tons of money anywhere, so we are very, very aware of that through all these recommendations. Now, if you look around, everybody's wearing masks, we're not sitting together, we realize that this is not the world's best situation for anything. However, we do know that property values are very attractive right now. Interest rates are at an all-time low, and this situation that we're in will quickly pass. But the recommendations that we're putting forth will go on for a long time. So our recommendation is for you to approve our recommendations and to forge ahead. Throughout all this process, we have all, and I hope I'm speaking for everybody, we've developed a love for the county employees, the county, and our citizens, our fellow citizens. So we want to do our absolute best to take care of this, take care of them, and I think this is probably a pretty good plan. It's a very good plan, I can tell you that. And we're recommending that you follow my friend's recommendations and approve what we presented to you.
It was touched on the Spur 100 property, the 16 acres, that if that doesn't materialize, there's some other land that could be. Did you guys look at that, or is that not a good time to talk about that right now?
We'll present that later.
Later? Okay.
We do have numerous contingencies.
Okay.
It's a big puzzle. It's probably more complex than we would probably want to get into with the time allowed.
Sure, okay.
And B, it may be something you would want to discuss in executive session.
Fair enough. Yeah.
But you presented the best case scenario. These are the cream of the crop. And by the way, I just want to thank you personally. I think all of you have done a great job.
Well, not speaking for myself, they're very smart people.
They are.
They are. And in reference to your question, this is our plan A. There are plan B and a plan C, but this is our top draft choice in terms of plans.
And these are, other than the sanctuary and the church and all over there, these are properties, okay? So in Ingram and 1600, there's considerable amount of money that would be needed for the facilities to be constructed at those locations, so.
And those would be bond issues, bond orders.
Yeah, okay. All right, good point.
Yes, sir, this is if it were a building, this would be the cornerstone.
Yeah,
This would be
okay.
where we start, and you have to have one in order to
Okay,
to go.
this is the property associated.
Yes, sir.
Gotcha.
And-
One of the issues that came up here in the committee early on was the point about the bond issue. You can't, it's hard to run a bond issue if you don't own the property that you're talking about building something on.
Right.
So this is kind of looking at the big picture, sets the stage, but then for the next,
Okay.
next number of years, we could do a bond issue in the construction.
Good point. Good point.
Well, and to footnote their report, let me just give you the status report of where we are with our negotiations. You've authorized the committee, myself and the committee, to negotiate on these properties that you've just heard about. A week ago, we submitted, I guess a little over a week ago now, we submitted earnest money contract offers on all of the properties that you've just heard. We are close to being able to finalize a deal on the Earl Garrett properties. And just so you know what we offered, the original asking price for the two-story old Sunday school building, the 550, was $780. And the part, we did that with the parking lot across North Street, which originally asking price was $178. And we made an offer for those two properties as one offer for $790. With the owners to fund the money to bring the property up to ADA compliance. And that to be done at cost, not to exceed $200,000 without written approval. So that would get us into the 550 and the parking lot area across the street.
And not all of that money comes from Kerr County.
No, the purchase would come from Kerr County.
Yeah. We just get right.
It would be rented out to the PDO, and the PDO would be contributed by the other four counties.
For the payment.
That's for that top floor of the building. On the sanctuary, the listing price was $480,000. They are in the process of replatting that property. It was platted to include the sanctuary building and that vacant lot next to Jim Morris. They've got an application pending before the city to unify that, to separate them out, which would increase their asking price probably by $100,000. We submitted an earnest money proposal to them for $442, and they have countered back at their original asking price on that at $480. So with regard to all those properties were about $40,000 apart.
And I bet for the public to know, all those offers are made subject to the commissioner's court approving the offers after the fact.
And that's why we're here today, is to get the Commissioner's Court up to speed on where we are, so that we don't get out in front of y'all.
Okay, good.
And with regard to the other two properties, both have been appraised, and the earnest money offers that went out were for the appraised value of the properties. And those offers were not accepted by the sellers. That's why we don't know for sure. It's not certain whether or not we're going to be able to acquire those properties, and we're looking at the alternatives as both Brenda and Pete disclosed.
There's other properties, other options out there. Like I said, that's their plan A and first choice.
But with regard to the CIP's recommendation, I would like to make a motion that the court accept their recommendations and authorize them to continue to proceed to try to acquire these properties. We will have Dusty Traylor here next week with RBC Capital to talk to us about the tax notes that we've discussed before, and be able to give us a perspective of how we might be able to finance this purchase.
So the motion is to accept the recommendation, number one, and what was the second part of it?
To authorize them to continue these negotiations. We're within $40,000 in negotiating the Earl Garrett campus, and we still have ongoing discussions with the prospective sellers on the other two properties.
Okay, I'll second that.
I made a motion, it's been seconded by Commissioner Moser, to approve the recommendation and authorize these purchases as presented.
Not really authorize the purchase.
Yeah,
The
negotiate.
negotiations.
Yeah.
Authorize the negotiations of these
Right.
properties. Any other discussion?
It's important for taxpayers to know exactly how it's all going to be paid for.
And that's why we're bringing Dusty Traylor next week back to the court, because what we're looking at here are what we call tax notes.
Right.
And those tax notes can be for as long as 7 years amortized. And the interest rates that we were looking at, we're estimating is going to be somewhere between, it's probably going to be about a 1 1/4% interest. So we're talking about a great price on the properties and great financing terms that we'll never see again in our lifetime.
And so if it all comes about, this would be just to negotiate, and then after that, we'll be looking with Dusty at how to finance, and then the decision after that to purchase or not.
Right.
Okay.
And that the vote today, we're not spending any money.
Exactly.
That's right.
Exactly. But I like the long-range plans. I mean, you know, the judge and I both had used the same phrase that, you know, when this all started, we were talking about rearranging things in the basement, and that's like putting lipstick on a pig. I mean, you're still confined to the same size, and 5, 6, 7 years down the road, we'd probably be trying to rearrange it again. And somebody said earlier, we're busting at the seams here. The traffic, the parking out there, it's tough at times, and you know, during all this that's been going on, I don't know how many times I've heard, boy, I wish y'all had a drive-through for the tax office, or this or that. This is would accomplish this, so it's a good deal moving forward, and it's forward thinking for 30 years down the road,
Okay.
because it won't get any cheaper. You know, it's been put off a long time.
Any other comments? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous, 5-0. Thank you, members of the Capital Improvement Planning Committee. We really appreciate your hard
Thank you
work.
very much.
Hats off to all y'all. Y'all done a great job.
Pete, remember the book?
Oh, yes. Thank you for the reminder.
We're gonna vote to double your pay.
Which would be the full Whataburger instead of the half Whataburger.
Okay, the next item on the agenda are timed items. The next items on the agenda are the timed items, and we'll take these one at a time. They're all timed for 9:30. These are all related to elections. The first one is agenda item 1.2, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to approve and accept the petition for the legal sale of all alcoholic beverages, including mixed beverages, in Justice of the Peace Precinct 2. Yes,
Good
ma'am.
morning, Judge. Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Jamie McClintock with the Kerr County Elections Department. On May 26, 2020, a petition was filed by Claudia Richards with the County Clerk, Jackie Dowdy, to allow the legal sale of all alcoholic beverages, including mixed beverages. The County Clerk certified that all documents were in order. The County Clerk issued 936 stamped pages of the petition. This was the maximum amount allowed under the state law. On July 17, 2020, the petition was returned to the Kerr County Elections Department. There were 542 pages with signatures, 390 unused pages, and 4 voided pages returned. The Elections Department of Kerr County examined each signature for validity. 436 signatures were declared invalid for the following reasons. 177 were non-registered voters, 121 were registered in other precincts, 74 were duplicate signatures, and 64 were registered in other counties. The petitioner is required to have 35% of the registered voters in Precinct 2 who voted for the governor in the last election to sign the petition. The total number of signatures needed is 2,016. The total number of qualified signatures is 2,498. Texas State Election Code requires the Elections Department to present the petition to Commissioner's Court on or after 30 days from receiving the petition. It is the opinion of the Elections Department that the petition meets the requirements to be placed on the November 3rd, 2020 ballot. In a separate item in today's agenda, the court will be asked to order the election for the legal sale of all alcoholic beverages, including mixed beverages. The Kerr County Elections Department requests that the Commissioner's Court to accept the petition.
Thank
So
you.
moved.
Second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Moser, seconded by Commissioner Letts, to approve, to accept the petition for the legal sale of all alcoholic beverages, including mixed beverages, in JP Precinct 2. I know there's some discussion, but I know we've got one person, Ms. Claudia Richards.
Yes.
Judge, if I may, Claudia is coming to the podium now. Claudia led this team, okay? And I saw a little bit of what was going on, but Claudia saw it every day. It was absolutely amazing what they did. So, Claudia, we thank you, we thank your team, but pardon the interruption.
Thank you. Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. My name is Claudia Richards. I'm the Program Director for the Precinct 2 Prosperity Program. I'm here today just to say that we are extremely excited and grateful for the opportunity. We're hopeful. It was initiated by Howard Bethune, who is here today, Slim Bethune. He has insisted on not really taking credit. He's the owner of Gravity Check and who approached and hired me to kind of head the initiative. He, along with the Story family, Story regrets his inability to attend, but the majority of the funding of the initiative. Aside from that, volunteers made this happen, and we had a tremendous team. Again, I did lead this, but I was just a go-to person. I was a phone call person. We've got some people in here, our Facebook manager, the bar manager, and restaurant manager from Gravity Check, both of them. One's paid and one's volunteered, but the whole community, everyone has just been great. The individuals that participated have been innumerable, so we're excited for the next step.
One thing that Claudia's not tooting her horn about, or Slim or anybody else, is during the early voting, there was somebody in the parking lot every single day for the entire time getting registered voters. During the voting itself, there were people in the parking lot from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. every day. They knocked on doors. One of the ladies, I don't know if she's here or not,
She did not make it.
related one story about when they were knocking doors, people invited them in to have coffee, have tea, and they were very excited about it. So, and one other thing that they related was they kept hitting obstacles, and one of them was the 2 weeks curtailment in the amount of time that we thought we had, which was taken off. And I think the team said all that did was motivate them more. Anytime they hit an obstacle, that was just another reason to work harder. So thank you, and there was a lot of money spent on this, I know. I don't know what it was, but for the Slim and Gravity Check and the other Ed Story and others that contributed to that, thank you very much.
Thank you, and thank you to the court for being so supportive. Again, that has been definitely noticeable as well. So the media has picked up on that, and everyone working together has allowed this to happen. So thank you.
So we're on the 2-yard line. We're not across the goal yet, but
Almost there.
almost there.
Almost.
All right.
And we really want to commend you and your group for what you've done. This is really government in action. This is where government goes to the people, and the people come back and actually govern with us. And it's very much appreciated, your contributions.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Is there any other discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous, 5-0. Thank you, Ms. Richards. Thank you, everyone. Item 1.3, consider, discuss, and approve the appointment of election judges and alternates for the term of 1 year in accordance with the Texas Election Code, Section 32. Ms. Alford.
Good morning. In your backup, you have the judges from the Republican Party and a partial list from the Democrat Party for alternate judges to be appointed for a 1-year term. I will come back with more judges, alternate judges' names when I receive them at that time.
I move we approve the election judges and alternates as submitted.
Second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Letts, seconded by Commissioner Ballew to approve the election judges as presented. Is there any discussion? Then those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous, 5-0. Thank you, Ms. Alford.
Thank you.
Next item is 1.4, consider, discuss, ordering special election on November 3, 2020 to legalize the legal sale of all alcoholic beverages, including mixed beverages, for the District of Justice of the Peace Precinct 2. Ms. Alford.
Yes, this is the order that needs to be approved and signed by the whole court in order to order the election for the November 3rd to legalize the legal sale of all alcohol beverages mixed included for the District of Justice of Peace for Precinct 2.
This will be only for Precinct 2 voters.
That is correct.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Letts, seconded by Commissioner Baloo, to approve the order for the special election. Any other discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous, 5-0. And I'll just pass around the order so we can all sign it today. Next item on the agenda is 1.5. Consider discuss ordering the 2020 general election. Bob or Ms. Alford?
This is the order to order the general election for November the 3rd for all the county offices. Sheriff, tax assessor, collector, county attorney, commissioner precinct 1, commissioner 3, constables precinct 1, constable precinct 2, constable precinct 3, constable precinct 4, district judge 216, district attorney 216, and district attorney 198. To approve the early voting locations and times. And for the judge to sign.
County clerk on the,
I'm not seeing it.
I'm not seeing it, no.
is it supposed to be?
Yes.
Yes. So we'd want to include that.
Yeah, we'll include county clerk's office for, it's an unexpired term.
So I'll move for
Right.
approval with the addition.
So as amended,
As amended.
to include the Kerr County Clerk.
Right.
I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that's fine. I didn't realize that I left it off. Thank you for catching that.
I second.
She would be the one.
Okay, so we have a motion, that was what made by Commissioner Letts, seconded by Commissioner Baloo.
No, I second.
You seconded?
Yeah.
Okay.
He made
I think it was Baloo and Mosier on this.
Balloon motion.
So, motion was made by Commissioner Baloo, and this is as amended, and you approved the amendment?
Yes,
Second
sir.
by Commissioner Moser. Any other discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous, 5-0. And we've got another order on this one coming around.
That one's just signed by you.
Yes, so just the order of general election is signed by the judge.
Okay, I've got it here. Item 1.6, consider, discuss, and take and approve the polling locations in accordance with Chapter 43 of the Texas Elections Code for the November 2020 election. Ms. Alford.
Yes, what I have attached are the polling locations that I would like to appoint for the November 3rd election. Precinct 101, Southern Oaks Baptist Church, 107, Thunder Hills Bikers Church, 109, Northwest Community Center, 113, Precinct 113, St. Paul's Methodist Church, Precinct 118, River Hills Mall, Precinct 119, Inn of the Hills, Precinct 202, American Legion Hall, Precinct 211, Union Church, Precinct 215, Hosanna Lutheran Church, Precinct 220, Faith Christian Church, Precinct 303, Calvary Temple Church, Precinct 308, Southern Rock Church. Solid Rock, sorry. Precinct 312, Zion Lutheran Church. Precinct 314, Calhoun City Center. Precinct 404, Mountain Home Fire Department. Precinct 405, the Hunt School at their library, or I believe it might be their multi-use room. And Precinct 406, City West Church. Precinct 410, Divide Chapel. Precinct 416, Kerrville KOA Community Center. And Precinct 417, Western Hills Baptist Church. And then the early voting sites, we would like to have it at Hill Country Youth Event Center, and in the Ingram Business Office in their boardroom.
I move for approval.
Second. Motion's been made by Commissioner Harris, seconded by Commissioner Baloo to approve the Election Day voting locations for November 3rd, 2020. Any other discussion?
When will the early voting be?
It begins October the 13th and runs through October the 30th.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous, 5-0. Item 1.7, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to approve the Central Counting Station personnel for November 3, 2020 election pursuant to Chapter 27 of the Texas Elections Code. Ms. Alford.
Yes, this is the central count where the election equipment is returned on election night. I would like for the court to approve the presiding manager and judge Nadine Alford, tabulating supervisor Jamie McClintock, assistant tabulating supervisor Jane Trollinger, clerks Mimi Valverde, Cindy Hernandez, Missy Anders, and then the website and the calls to the Secretary of State's office would be the IT Bruce Motherall.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion has been made by Commissioner Lett, seconded by Commissioner Harris to approve the Central Counting Station personnel for the November 3 election. Is there any other discussion?
Where does all this take place?
At the juvenile probation office.
You know that place.
Yes.
Okay, those, there being no other discussion, those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous, 5-0. Okay, let's squeeze in one more thing before 10 o'clock. 1.8, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to approve the flooring contract with Sprouse Flooring to replace flooring in the county attorney's offices. Ms. Stebbins.
This flooring contract will be for the amount of $12,812. The flooring in my office right now is carpet that's been in there for what I think about somewhere between 16 and 20 years, and it's
Getting broke in.
yes, just getting broken. That's right. And I just respectfully request your approval of this item. We have some savings from the budget for travel and training, which we did not get to use because of the pandemic. We've been doing lots of online courses, which save us some money. Over half of the cost of this will come out of the hot checks item for office space.
So does that cover all of it?
No, well, there will be some savings, about $2,000 from an insurance policy that we looked into recently and decided that tax policy covers us plenty and canceled that policy. And then some will come out of, and I don't know how much, will come out of the contract legal services that we haven't used this year as well.
Question,
We ought to have an amount if we're gonna.
Oh, it is. It's $12,812 for the contract. I put in the contract $12,900. And James said he'd help me out with the amounts that come out of, the balance will come out of the contract legal services for just a couple of dollars.
I had questioned the original amount, and it just seemed high, and it might be because I'm just not up to date on it. And then you showed that it'd be less.
Because of the tax, I didn't realize that was in there. And then after you asked that question, I did go back and look at some of the other flooring costs over the past few years. And 2 years ago, in the county court at law, which is the same flooring, exact same flooring, maybe a different color, for a couple hundred square foot less, it was about $11,000 in 2018. And then the other one that's not really comparable because of the type of flooring is Union Church, and that was 13,000 square feet for about $23,000. But that was pine, so we can't even, it's really apples and oranges.
What's your square footage approximately?
1,635 square feet. The office is, I don't know if all of you have been into the space of our office. When you kind of go back, it's real cut up in there. So we've got about 6 separate offices and then a common space. We wouldn't be redoing our storage closet, but this will just be more sanitary.
Question on courthouse improvements like this. Why is maintenance not contracting for this rather than individual, rather than the county attorney's office? I mean, it's part of the courthouse.
I don't know. We've had when county court at law got redone, the court coordinator and the county court at law judge worked toward those contracts, and I believe
I
they
see,
were
okay,
custom
so
projects.
it's,
I think it's a good question, but it's been done this way.
okay.
But
That was my,
downstairs in
that was my
the,
question, has it been done this way?
the HR
Yeah.
office, they did all everything in there, didn't they?
No,
They-
maintenance did.
That's what I'm saying,
Maintenance did.
maintenance did all that.
Maintenance did.
Yeah, so it's a good question.
Yeah.
I think they did the flooring down there too, didn't they?
Rather than having each department go out
They
and
did,
contract it, it seemed like well, in a way, we've done in the past, so it just seemed like a weird way of doing it.
Yeah, we did that in Upper County Court of Law, we did it, we do it both ways. It seems like the maintenance is gonna be really involved with the project and doing it, done by them, but a lot of these bigger, like flooring, like in the County Court of Law, is handled the same way, so I think it's comparable.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve contract.
My only thing, and is I'd like to see more bids, you know, and stuff like that.
Well-
Make sure we're getting our bang for our buck.
Along that line, we could find out if maintenance can do it and see what the cost would be for just materials so that it's a wash, because you have some of this expense covered. In any job, labor's a fairly big part of it. And as you mentioned, with different little offices and the various cuts they're making, that increases your cost when they come in and do the estimate. So you might just
We'll
make
say
it a
that.
wash. Sir?
The maintenance redo of the HR office took months.
It did.
And this flooring project would be 4 or 5 days. They will be moving our furniture from office to office so that we can continue to function during the time that they're remodeling the office. Because we can't just move down into the old maintenance department
Yeah.
with all of us and keep getting our work done. And we've got to have people in the office. We have a lot of protected records that are still physical records.
I think it needs to be, I think it's the right way to the contract. I just look at the price the same as we paid last year when County Court of Law, essentially.
I'm not arguing the point that you need it, you know, that the job needs to be done. I just want to make sure we're spending our money wisely.
Well, before we get the discussion too far along, let me go ahead and second the motion so that we're properly before the court and continue the discussion. So.
Well, I'd just like to know we're getting the best price.
Yeah.
That's all.
That's my.
I think that's everybody.
I know they need it down there.
Any other discussion?
So did you get multiple bids on this?
I got one bid and looked back at the history over the past couple of years from other local flooring companies that the county has done business with. So no, I have, I can.
It'd be good to have multiple bids out there.
I think so.
But I do want to get it done within the fiscal year so I can
Sure.
use the
Yeah,
savings.
sure.
Sure. But can you tell us how much is going to be paid for out of other funds?
Yes,
Show
I
us that
can.
final figure.
I can do that.
Because right now you're saying the 12,000 is the outstanding after?
No,
Okay, see, I'd like to see that final figure.
$7,000 will be taken care of by the hot check department. About $2,000 will be covered by the insurance policy that we didn't have. Here comes James to save the day. And
Really
then,
what you're asking for is about $2,300 or something. Is that what you're
Coming
saying?
out for a budget.
It's all coming out of a budget.
Yeah.
Our budget.
Well, I mean, you're not asking for it, but about $2,300.
about five
About
out of the county attorney's budget from savings, what we haven't spent this fiscal year, $7,000 would come out of the hot check balance, which the court has no authority over. I shall know that.
But of the
5 and 7
5,
makes
the important
total.
thing is of the 5,000 that's coming out of your budget, okay, 2,000 of that represents the savings when we decided that we had adequate coverage through TAC and didn't have to continue buying that policy.
Yes, sir.
So we've got 2,000. So it's really, we're talking about just a little over $3,000 that's coming out of her unspent outside counsel fund.
And the unspent travel and training budget, because we couldn't go anywhere.
Heather, what was the total price?
$12,812.
$12,800.
And so you're paying for all of it, but roughly $3,000, which comes out of your budget.
Yes,
You're
sir.
paying from other sources.
Yes,
It
sir.
doesn't affect your budget.
Yes,
Why didn't you
sir.
say that? at the beginning.
I just did.
The judge made the pitch for you. You're a county attorney, you gotta sell this stuff.
So that's about $8 a square foot.
You're moving furniture and doing,
Yeah, but still, about $8 a
$8
square foot. Okay,
Okay, any further discussion?
so she's gonna get another bid.
Well, we're gonna take a vote.
They didn't second it, there's no second on it.
I seconded
Oh,
it,
Judge said.
because we were talking about it without a second, so I seconded it.
But-
So do we really want another bid since we
I do.
figured out that she's got $3,000 coming out of her own budget?
I think it's a reasonable amount.
I-
What we paid in for other flooring contracts, I mean,
Yeah, I don't know what the current value is. Okay.
Okay, those in favor of approving the flooring contract with Sprouse Flooring for the county attorney's office, raise your hand. Opposed? 4-1.
Thank you, guys.
You had to work for that one. Let's take a 5-minute break and we'll come back and finish up.
Good job.
They've done a really good job. I'm really very impressed with them. Court will come back to order. We have a 10 o'clock docket. Item 1.9, a public hearing regarding the district clerk's annual record archival plan pursuant to the Government Code Section 51.317 and projected revenues. This is a public meeting. I'm calling the public meeting to order. Is there anybody who would like to address the court at this public meeting? There being no one, then the meeting will be adjourned and we'll proceed on to item 1.10 on the agenda. Consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to approve and adopt the district clerk's annual archival plan as presented and the district clerk's civil filing fees as presented. Ms. Lance.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. I have included that in the backup, and basically our plans are going to be the same as last year, so there's been no changes. This is just something that we have to do once a year.
Move for approval.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made by Commissioner Moser, seconded by Commissioner Ballou to approve and adopt the district clerk's annual archival plan as presented and the district clerk's civil filing fees as presented. Any further discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous, 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The last item on the consideration agenda is to consider, discuss, and take appropriate action on the request from the yoga space to use the courthouse grounds for the Labor of Love Full Moon Yoga and Meditation for Global Healing event on September 5, 2020 from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Ms. Cotton.
Good morning. I'm Sarah Cotton. I'm the owner of the yoga space. The yoga space, under previous ownership, has been a staple in the community for 17 years. On August 1st, I became the new owner of the yoga space, and we are working to become more involved in the community as far as relaxation, meditation, and peace and love, which is what yoga is about. So basically, we would like to use the courthouse lawn to provide a free meditation and yoga class just to raise awareness. September is National Yoga Month, so this would coincide with that, and also Labor Day, where the name Labor of Love came from. There will be no charge for the event. And in our studio, we have been practicing social distancing and safety measures. Some of our clients choose to wear masks even while they do yoga. This being an outdoor event would not necessarily be required, but the mats will be spaced properly enough so that each person has their own safety area.
Now, is this the same yoga group that Peter Lewis attends?
It is.
Boy, hats off to you.
Oh, there's a lot of hard work ahead of you, Peter's part.
Peter's been a great supporter. I've known Peter
Well,
in the yoga realm for about 10 years.
Now, we're a small community and we all know each other and tease each other, so welcome.
Judge, will they not need to fill out the social distancing paperwork that we require now?
Yes, what I do, any outside gathering in excess of 10 persons, I need to approve. That's under the governor's latest order. And my practice is that I ask for a written COVID safety plan. And we get such things in there as social distancing, mask or not, whatever you're recommending. If you're going to use microphones, then I ask that they be wiped down, like we did at the announcement, the economic development announcement last week, so that we have a plan in place to know that people will be safe when they come out here to your event. So if you just get us that, then I think we can probably go forward on this.
Great.
Can we approve it contingent on that?
Yes,
Okay. Make a motion for approval.
subject to a written code safety
Right.
plan.
Second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Moser, seconded by Commissioner Letts to approve yoga space using the courthouse grounds for an event on September the 5th. Any other discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous, 5-0.
Thank you
Welcome.
very much.
Okay, let's move on to the approval agenda. 2.1, pay the bills.
Good morning. Invoices for today's approval include $205,742.44 for Kerr County. The airport, $20,646.25. Juvenile probation, $10,725.54. And the TVA, Texas Department of Agriculture grant fund of $14,235.65.
Can we pay the bills?
Second.
Motion been made by Commissioner Moser, seconded by Commissioner Harris to approve paying the bills as presented. Any further discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous, 5-0. 2.2, budget amendments.
Yes, we have four today. One for non-departmental, animal control, and district administration. Those are all line item transfers in their own departments. We also have one for 198 district court and the specialty drug court. This is to fund counseling for drug offenders.
Move for approval.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made by Commissioner Letts, seconded by Commissioner Harris to approve the budget amendments as presented. Is there any discussion?
Was there, James, there's like $3,000 in the vehicle gas oil maintenance, does something break down, or is it?
No, this is to fund utilities at the animal control facility.
So it's under
We're
vehicle
taking it out
maintenance?
of vehicle gas.
You're taking it out, okay. Oh, I see what it is. Okay. That's all I have.
Okay, any other discussion? Those in favor of approving the budget amendments as presented, raise your hand. Unanimous, 5-0. Late bills.
There are not any.
Auditor reports.
Yes, just a couple. We're on track for meeting our revenues this year. You'll see from the graphs in front of you, general fund, we collected about 96% of our budgeted revenues. Fire protection, 99%. Road and bridge, 76%. Indigent services is 100%, and then debt service is about 92%. Sales tax is still going strong. You'll see for the month of July, we collected about $411,000. And we already know for the month of August, we're going to collect about $437,000.
The August number's after July sales.
It's for June sales.
June
They're a
sales.
couple of months behind.
The 2 months.
Yes. For expenditures, we're tracking at about 70% of our general fund, and we've got about 89% of our fire protection, 65% of road and bridge, 51% for indigent services, and about 99% of debt services. Any questions?
Why is indigent services down?
We haven't had as many as what we were expecting whenever the budget was passed last year.
Okay, good, very good.
Good then.
Okay, thank you.
On the second report, and if y'all will accept, we did the audit, the internal audit for the Kerr County District Clerk, and y'all would receive these, I think, earlier via email. So it all looks good.
Okay, no action required?
And if y'all will accept it.
We need to accept,
Okay.
Ms. Mosley, we accept the auditor's report.
Second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Letts, seconded by Commissioner Baloo to accept the auditor's report for the district clerk's office. Any other discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous, 5-0. Okay, monthly reports.
We have none.
Okay, court orders.
Yes, we have the court orders from our August 10th meeting, court orders 38208 through 38222. Move for approval.
Second.
Motion has been made by Commissioner Letts, seconded by Commissioner Harris to approve the court orders as presented. Any further discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous, 5-0. Move on to the information agenda. 3.1, status reports from department heads. Shane.
Morning, Jeff. I would like to give you all an update on some of the recycling from the last month. We had the guys take some photos. And
I saw those photos.
Sir?
I saw those photos.
I'll pass them out.
Thank you. Tom?
And I'll just move from the top to the bottom. And some of these photos were on 3 different days. One with
Is there any way we can get this up where the public can see them? Because
Yeah,
these
can
are
you
such
all-
telling photos.
Hey, guys, this is some of the complaints I've heard over the years about our recycling, that does it really go in the landfill or does it get recycled? And if Shane will show these pictures as he talks, I think it will make us wonder why we jump through all these hoops at home to collect it and then put it in our recycle trailers and take it to the dump to be recycled, and then where does it go? All this is a bunch of wasted time and energy on our part a lot. And it doesn't happen every time, but too many times like this, it does.
To justify the expense.
The expense and just the labor and what people do at home. I mean, they think everybody wants to do the right thing, but it's
The
not
right
paying
thing's
off.
not being done.
It's not being done.
Well, the city says it is being done.
Well, look at it.
But here's the thing, and I don't know what, and I'm not arguing
Sure.
one way or another, but I know that I had an acquaintance that had a recycling facility in North Carolina, South Carolina or something. What they did is they took, and I don't know if they still do it, I don't know if the public does this, they took this and put it through a system. The first thing they did is went through a big blower, blew all the paper in the air, collected the paper. Next thing, a magnet came in, collected the metal. Second, on and on and on, and it got down to the aluminum and the plastic and stuff. So I don't know if Republic does that or not, but there are ways, or have been ways, of separating this stuff. Just because it looks like this initially doesn't mean it's not being separated. And I have no idea, it may not be, so that's the only thing I would add, contribute to that.
There at the transfer station, they don't have that capabilities. We have our little corner where we put our recycle, and then the other two, three bays, that's where the city trash goes. And if they, for whatever reason, their trucks aren't going fast enough, it does back up, then it encroaches upon our recycle. And sometimes those pictures that I just showed y'all, that's what happens when they get behind.
Yeah, okay.
Now, this is not an all the time thing, but it does happen enough to warrant some attention.
Well, why don't you tell us what we're supposed to be doing here?
All right, the two pictures of the recycle trailer, that was one on one day, the same day.
So you take the recycle trailer to Republic Services and unload it in a certain bay.
Yes, sir.
Our guys do the unloading.
Yes, sir.
And then they, from that point, it's theirs. And they determine whether it's recyclable or just trash. That's really what's happening. I've talked to them about it.
Right.
They cannot guarantee, and I've asked, can you tell me for sure if this is being recycled? And they said, no. So it depends on the market was the answer I got. And if you can sell it, yes.
What is recyclable? What are we supposed to be able to recycle?
Plastics, like plastic bottles, and most of your plastics. Cardboard is a big thing that you like. Aluminum cans, tin cans, cardboard box, like the food boxes, or they'll take those.
Newspaper.
It's all put into one recycled pile there at the transfer station, and then at some point, it's moved to moved to San Antonio, wherever they moved to.
Yes, my point is, wood is not on that list.
We don't handle the steels, like, there's a free place for the steel. We don't handle steel, glass bottles. I think there are recyclables for glass, but we don't handle the glass bottles ourselves. We can't really handle
Yeah, I think
those.
glass is not recyclable.
So
Now-
what I was told is this, that they have partners that will purchase this stuff.
Yeah.
And when they don't have a current contract, there's a lapse.
Yeah.
Or if it's just not worth the return on investment, there's a lapse. And right now, it's more difficult than ever to find somebody that wants to
Without a
recycle.
doubt.
But that's a city deal.
Sir?
We don't.
No, I'm talking about Republic Services, that's what I was told.
Yeah, no, but
They-
that's a contract with the city for public services. It's nothing to do with us.
Ours ends up in the same place.
We give it to the city,
Yeah.
and then City and Republic just take it from there. So there's nothing.
Well, are you talking about having a clear conscience or doing what we said we were gonna do, or what?
No, I'm talking about if we turn it over to the city says it's recycled.
But I talked to the people that
Unless
do it.
it's contaminated, okay, then they don't recycle it. And the contract though is with, the city takes it from us, city has a contract with the Republic, so I don't know what Republic does with it. So they supposedly make
Well,
money
I just
on
told
it.
you what they do with it, and I heard it from the horse's mouth. That's how it works.
Yeah.
So,
I think this needs to be addressed for the upcoming year, because this is, and the people at home, hopefully a lot of them are watching that do the recycling, and because I've heard several of them say, I'm all for it, but if I'm spinning my wheels and it's going in the landfill anyway, why are we doing this?
Absolutely.
Then we have the tail wagging the dog with our maintenance departments having to shuttle these trailers continuously, and a lot of their work revolves around these trailers right now, and so
Why
it
don't we-
occupies a lot of their time.
Why don't we ask the city and our Republic to come in and talk to us? Yeah, I think you got a good point. If it's a lot of effort.
Well, let's just issue them a subpoena, come on.
It's a lot of effort to do it. And it's a lot of work for Shane
Without
and
doubt.
these guys if it's not being done.
It would be a good item for another agenda.
Yes.
I think it's important enough for the public to place on an agenda to have a discussion about, so that y'all can more fully evaluate what Shane's doing. And
That's what I just said, I think.
If we're going to talk to the city, we need to have a joint meeting with the city.
Yeah.
We don't just have them come in and talk to us.
Yeah, fine. I think that's good.
So I think that would be the topic for a joint meeting with the city, and have Republic come in and talk to both of us.
But I think from a budget standpoint, we need to make the decision in this budget
I
whether we're
agree.
going to
I
refund it.
agree.
And I don't
Absolutely.
think we're going to have a joint meeting with the city in the month of September. So can we, I don't know, I'll be glad to make a call to the city manager. I need to talk to him on another issue anyway, and just say, can you send someone over to one of our meetings and talk? And I
Just
can
come
ask
over,
him.
yeah.
Okay.
I don't think that settles the issue. I think hearing from the city is like playing telephone. I don't want to hear from the city. And I take what I hear from the city with a grain of salt, and I set it on the camera. But when you talk directly to those folks over there, they can't divulge stuff about the contract they have with the city, but they can tell us about their practices. And I would personally, for my part of it, rather hear it from Republic Services.
Look, we don't deal
This
with
company-
public service. That's the city.
Our stuff goes over there.
Well, how about, I'll call the city manager and you can call the public.
I'll do it.
Jonathan, I've talked to the city manager. He'll tell you the same thing he told me.
Yeah.
Talk to him again.
Let's put this on the agenda for next week.
I think we all feel very strongly both ways.
Let's put it on the
Yes.
agenda.
Well, it's a popular program.
It is.
People like it.
Yeah.
If
We
it
don't
works.
have to do it, though. We don't have to do it.
I suggest we put it on an agenda so we can look at it as part of the budget.
Agreed. I'll second.
Okay,
But then okay.
we're going to put it on the agenda? Okay. Thanks, Shane.
Thanks, Shane.
Thank you.
Elected officials reports. Yes, sir.
I do have one issue that
the county attorney may also have to weigh in on this. Jonathan got notice, but as I advised y'all last week about the pursuit in which one of our units was intentionally hit, TAC has come down and towed that unit, and it's one of our lower mileage units. I really need to replace it. But to be able to replace that unit and get the same equipment in it, because the equipment itself is okay, we have to stay with that year model. 2021s are changing. This is a 2020, and I had found one on the car lot. It was the only one where we had gotten our other ones. If I go ahead, and it's under the 50,000, so my intention is to go ahead and purchase this unit. What TAC is giving us is $30,400 and something for the total unit. The purchase price of the new unit is between $34,000 and $35,000. TAC will also reimburse me for all the transfer, the uninstall of the equipment, and the install into the new unit. That is separate. We can invoice and get totally reimbursed for that. And as James can tell you, we still have about 30,000 left over out of trade-ins from this current year, and I have about 10,000 left over from hail damage that we didn't have to spend to actually fix our whole units on. The money's in the budget, and I need to go ahead and get this purchase made. I'll bring it back for approval if you want me to next week, but there was not time Thursday evening to be able to put it on the agenda, and I need to make this purchase. So unless somebody tells me I can't, we're going to go.
So it's about $4,000 or $5,000 difference in what TAC is going to pay and what the new vehicle costs, plus the vehicle you had some mileage on it, so.
Right.
Seemed like.
So I think it's a win-win for the county. It's just a timing issue that I couldn't benefit as a regular agenda item. So I'm trying to get it, at least advise y'all through the report. Okay?
Just ratify it on Monday.
Yes.
That's the only thing I can think of. We can put it on the agenda to ratify Monday, but unless I hear a check, I've got to get this monitored, probably be gone.
No reason it would, normally, this is a replacement under insurance. When the
Right.
funds are coming in, there will be a additional charge, and that will be the portion that will be ratified.
But it's not on the agenda, and so just, we can't give permission today, so come Monday and we'll give forgiveness, okay?
Judge, can we go back to reports from department heads, first
Yeah.
for a second, because Reagan has.
Okay, I didn't see him over there.
He's going to have to grow a little bit.
Morning.
Yes, sir.
So I just wanted to let you guys know we're having a little bit of a water issue at the animal shelter facility. Actually, it's kind of a weird thing. In May, we got a door hanger for a high-use water bill, which was about 90,000 gallons. I believe we generally average between 10 and 17, which is actually been a little bit less through the pandemic. However, last week we got a door hanger for 192,700 gallons of potable water. So we've had a plumber out, we've had the city of Kerrville out, the water department, because we are simply just not using that much water. We have a flow rate, 5.5 gallons per minute with nothing on in the facility. There's been some tests run. The city came out and changed out the meter, which is actually off of the main, is my understanding, which is actually about 250 yards away next door at the water treatment facility. They changed the meter out twice, it's still reading the same. We've shut off water in the facility, which reduced it by a gallon per minute.
Yeah.
We're using, I believe he said, around 260 gallons per hour. Excuse me. We don't know what's going on exactly. Some of it doesn't make any sense. I mean, we've shut off the water. You would think that what I believe is a third of the amount of water that's in an Olympic swimming pool, that you would see some sort of surfacing coming up from a 2-foot, from a line that's only 200 feet around. But we're not seeing anything. There's also no reason why we had another month in there where we didn't have a problem. But this began around between midnight and 2 a.m. on July the 10th. We all of a sudden started using all this water. is what the city's been pointed down to. So at this point, and in talking with Shane and I'm really not sure how to proceed. The city, it changed the meter out. I don't think there's any kind of problem with the meter. We assume there's some sort of leak somewhere, which doesn't make much sense because we had a flow rate of 0 when they took the initial reading, and then we have a flow rate of 5.5 with what they're reading now. So,
5.5 gallons per minute.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a bunch.
And there's not anything running.
Yeah, broken line somewhere.
Anything that we run into the facility actually drains into a central drain system which goes to the sump. So you can actually open up a port out there and see if anybody's running any water, and there's not when we look. So the two options that we can possibly find is that either we have some sort of massive leak or somebody's tied into the line in between the facility and the shelter. But I haven't seen any construction over there. I know we've had some new apartments going across the street, but there hasn't been any construction that I've seen.
You said between the facility and the shelter.
Yes.
So what does that mean?
The water treatment plant next door and the facility.
One of the, and Ray went over this, it's an important point. The meter is way over on the wastewater treatment plant side, and then it goes under a parking lot, and then it gets onto our property. So one of the issues is it's hard to pin down where the leak is because it could be on the city's property.
Right.
My recommendation earlier to Shane was for his group of people to go out there or get a plumber either way. Go out there, dig up the line at the property line, put a valve in, shut it off, and then we can determine if the leak's on the city property or on our property.
Right.
And the meter should be on our property.
Well, it should be, but it isn't because the main is over. The main doesn't extend to our property. So the city just put the meter way over on their property.
Yeah, but this is why you put the meter on your property. So you know if the leak's on your side.
And the city's, they've sent someone out to try to work it out. This is why I didn't talk to the city manager because I talked to him when I found out about this last week. And that's how they would know exactly when it started at 2 a.m.
With that flow rate in this terrain and rock that we have, it could be, it wouldn't necessarily come to the surface.
Right.
So that's, and beside that, I live 2 miles away, and all of a sudden I have all this water coming into my property. No, I'm just kidding.
Because that was what it came down to, is something like what Commissioner Letts suggested, or hiring a leak detection company, which could be pretty expensive according to the city guy who came out.
Shut it off and let it on the city.
Right.
Well, if they do what you said, get on our side of the property line, dig, put a valve in there, shut it off, and that settles it. And why can't we tell them we want a meter there?
Well, from my understanding, it's because it has, and I have to get clarification, but from my understanding, it's because of where the main is. I don't think, and I'd have to find out, but I don't think they could put one all the way, because there's like 200 yards of.
You put it on the edge of your property.
I think it has to be somewhere near the main, but I'd have to.
No, I understand. I mean, you have a line and everybody comes off of it this way. You're talking about going off of it that way where other people can tap into it. But unless somebody else has tapped into it, in between the main and where we are in animal control, it remains the same. It remains a constant until somebody else gets in there, and that's their problem.
Well, there shouldn't be anybody tapped in because it would be on our side of the meter.
Right.
The other thing was,
That's why I'm saying I don't think that's a good answer.
Right. Well, the other thing that was suggested was by a plumber or the city was shutting off the water for a day or a week or a month, which I really don't want to do.
No.
We've got to have some, we do have non-potable water there, but now I know where everything runs and goes to through the process of elimination. But, we've got a $2,000 water bill this month.
Do what Jonathan did, put a valve in at the edge of the property.
Yeah.
That'll take care of it.
Shut off valve.
Shane can do it or he can get a plumber to do it.
Just shut off valve, right. That's easy.
Yeah, that's
And if it's on
easy.
our property, then we just need to run a new water line.
Right,
Right.
precisely.
And if it's on city property, the city needs to fix, they have to dig up the parking.
So
We'll run a
we
new
just
water
put
line.
it in and we shut it off for.
Yep.
Shut it off just go to shut it off and look at the meter.
Yes, shut it off and look at the meter, that's all there is, right.
And then the request you be billed for the same as the month before. because that leak wasn't ours.
Well, there's once it's determined, the city has a
Sure.
leak reimbursement,
Yeah.
so.
Okay, so I just need to tell Shane.
Okay, thank you. Let's go ahead and move on. Are there any other elected official reports? Okay, let's move to 3.3, status reports and liaison commissioners.
No.
Okay. Then I believe we've got a couple of matters in closed session, one on litigation, pending litigation update, and another one to discuss appropriate action on the personnel matter. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, court will stand adjourned for 5 minutes, and we'll come back into executive session. Okay, it is 11:42, and we're coming out of executive session. Is there any business following executive session?
I'll make a motion that we concur, or Commissioners Court concurs with the recommendation of the sheriff and the HR director that Carol Twis's original hire date is 12/1/1991, and her current longevity is correct, and both of these are consistent with current county policy, current and past county policy.
Second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Lett, seconded by Commissioner Harris, to concur with the recommendation from the HR director and the sheriff with regard to the years of service and benefits qualification for Ms. Twiss and her retirement. Any further discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. 5-0. There being no other business before the court at this time, we stand adjourned.